1 hour down and 1 hour to go on this week's Freaky Friday right here on TFRlive.com. And if you're just tuning in now, you missed a really, really banging first hour. Scotty Lopez. Oh, did he step up to the plate and did he take on everything that's going on right now over in the States? Good work, brother. And I think a lot of the audience appreciate you going over that. And I appreciate it because, I hear Jonesy's take on things, dude. I love the guy, but it's only one take. So I appreciate you breaking it down, man.
Yeah. And, before we go on, I just have to say once again, the media is just absolutely horrific. And what they're doing right now, I mean, people really, really, really need to call them out and just tell them to stop the BS, divide and conquer and division that they're sowing in this country. That's really all I can say, man.
You're even too nice a guy to say that. You're that chilled. You're that laid back. You're like, people just need to phone up and, say that they're not. Dude, I'm telling you, man, if you got any more chilled out, you'd be horizontal, Scotty boy. I'm
being chilled very deliberately because if I go the other way, this won't be on YouTube. So
NSFYT. Not suitable for YouTube. That should be a thing. Yeah, so that should be the name of a website. Aha.
NSFYT.
See if that turns up for like 2 years from now and starts becoming the next big thing. You heard it here first, and I'll be on one of these documentaries. The guy that had a great idea, but made nothing of it. We've even got a farting fail noise now as well, Scott. Do you like that? And that noise would have been really apt the other day when I sat for hours, excitedly, Scotty, like a child, waiting for a rocket to go into space. Yep, the big day came. Yep, and it went. That's right. Dragon didn't go up. You'd called it because you're the weatherman, right?
Well, look, man, I woke up early to watch the launch.
I was going to live stream it, but then I realized not an authoritative source, so best not. Yes.
Yes, none.
I don't have the credentials, Scott. No credentials.
Since I am a night owl and I like to stay up in the night and go to bed early in the morning, I only got a couple hours of sleep, and then I was reminded that, hey, the rocket's about to launch. You want to get up and watch it? So I woke out of my slumber and was ready and raring to go. Yes, we're finally going to launch some astronauts into space from the good old USA, America. Elon's going to handle this, and then, no, didn't happen.
Gets worse though, Scott. Gets worse though, right? Because he had another earlier on today. Oh, he did. Because it wasn't the Dragon this time, but remember the thing that looks like a garbage can? It's going to take like 100 people? Yeah. It absolutely blew to pieces on the launch pad earlier on today. And it says here, to realize its ambitious plans for sending up to 100 passengers to the moon and Mars inside a massive Starship spacecraft, SpaceX is racing through prototypes. Yeah, it's burning through them, literally. During its 5th static fire today, the 4th Starship prototype, called SN4, erupted in a gigantic fireball around 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And thanks to a live stream courtesy of NASA Spaceflight, you can watch the structure erupt into flames at SpaceX's Boca Chica testing facility. But maybe tomorrow, Scotty, tomorrow at 8:22 UK time. So get this, Scott. So
who gave this a thumbs down? They should be punched in the face for such a thing. Let's all PPP and have some fun together. Brown chicken, brown cow.
Just the guy, I love you. But now, you ready for this, Scotty? Tomorrow the launch will be 3:22 Florida time. There's that number again.
Didn't even pick up on that whenever they said it was going to be rescheduled for Saturday.
Yeah, so we're 5 hours ahead of the US East Coast. So that will be 3:22. Now, I don't want to be doomy and gloomy, okay? But I've had worries about this flight. Only because we've seen the NASA guy in charge of like the NASA side of the mission resigning the week before it was due to go up, just there. And it was like really vague why he resigned. It was a bit suspicious. Even Futurism and the mainstream publications, authoritative sources were saying, this is a mystery, right? This guy, ahead of this historic launch, it should have been the pinnacle of his career. And the guy is so tied into the military-industrial complex as well, it's quite scary. If you're looking for some spook-type NASA dude, this was your guy, right? But he walked away, Scott. And I'm thinking, oh no. There's so many people like Elon, and yet there's so many people think he's part of the club. And in my mind, you know how our minds race to make patterns that ain't there. I'm thinking, oh no, something terrible's going to happen here. We're going to find out if he's part of the club or not. Now, I don't think anything like that's going to happen, right? But I did have a suspicion in the build-up to the first one that something could go wrong. And I know it's horrible to say, but that's what I felt,
No, I mean, I think your feelings are somewhat shared. The thought crossed my mind as well, like, there's a lot of people out there who want Elon to fail. I mean, let's be honest. And a lot of those people are tied into the military industrial complex. I mean, he beat out Boeing. Think about that for a second. Elon Musk beat Boeing. And Boeing is a huge military industrial complex, behemoth, basically. They're up there with like Northrop Grumman.
They're like the Rothschilds of the military industrial complex. They're at the top table, Scott, right?
Yeah, and so he beat them out, and it does. The thought has crossed my mind as well. I mean,
that story there, that's the one that really got my spidey senses going. Aside from the coolest spacesuits you could ever design, right? Aside from that,
yeah.
Douglas Lovero, the head of NASA's Human Spaceflight Office, just resigned after an unspecified scandal. A mere week before SpaceX is scheduled to launch NASA astronauts from American soil for the first time, according to a letter obtained by Politico, Lovero said he left, quote, with a very, very heavy heart after making a mistake during the 7 months at the space agency, and his predecessor, Bill Gerstenmaier, in contrast, led NASA's Human Flight Division for almost 15 years. And he says, the risks we take, whether technical, political, or personal, all have potential consequences if we judge them incorrectly, Lovero wrote. I took such a risk earlier in the year because I judged it necessary to fulfill our mission. So what corner did he cut? Why is he all of a sudden going, oh, holy shimoly? You know what? I don't want to be there for that historic moment. I don't want my name in NASA history, Scotty. I'm just going to walk away now.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder what this supposed scandal was and why it was, so bad that he had to step down before this launch. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the thought has crossed my mind, like sabotage.
Did you say sabotage? It was the astronaut with a candlestick on SpaceX launch pad. All right, I thought we were playing like Internet Cluedo or something, man. Sorry.
We sabotage.
Do you know the amount of French dudes that keep turning up in my stories now, Scott? And every time I feel the need to. So listen, how about I take us so deep into the woo from Elon Musk, it's going to make people's heads melt. Because you know how myself and Bill Bean. On you go, Scotty.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna mention, like, okay, so the starship blowing or bursting into flames on the pad.
Yeah.
That's actually a good thing. That means they're testing it properly, and you would rather want it blowing up.
It actually survived a whole heap of fires before it blew, Scott. That's what they were saying in the news today, which was really impressive,
And Elon himself in the past has said, and it makes total sense, is you want the failures to happen in testing. That way you know what failed and you can fix it. So I mean, this is, even though this is kind of portrayed as, oh, it's a spectacular failure and this is an embarrassing thing for Elon. It's really not. This is all really part of the testing phase in a lot of these rocket programs and a lot of this stuff. There's gonna be failures. You want to see what's gonna fail so you can fix it. That way it doesn't happen when you have people on the thing, so when it comes to that, in a way, I'm like, okay, cool. It blew up in testing. Now they're going to know what happened, what went wrong, and they're going to go and fix it. That way it doesn't happen again, And the Dragon capsule and the Falcon 9, that's completely separate from the Starship. That has been tested over and over again and has been proven because unlike the space shuttle, which really didn't go through much testing before they started putting people on it, the Falcon 9 and the Dragon capsule has been tested repeatedly by sending payloads to the space station that might not have had people on board, but this thing has a track record of being pretty much the safest rocket out there, and it also has a very complex and elaborate ejection system for the astronauts.
It's crazy. It fires them off at thousands of kilometers an hour to try, because at the point where it bursts off, it could be traveling at thousands of kilometers an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so the space shuttle never had any kind of escape mechanism or ejection sort of. I guess you would call it ejection, but it where it throws the the area of the ship where the astronauts are located, it throws it away from the rocket, so that they can survive. The space shuttle never had that, so SpaceX and Elon, they've made probably the most safest rocket that you possibly can for humans. So like I said, I'm hopeful that tomorrow it all goes well. I really am. If the weather is a go and they're able to do it, I'm pretty confident that it'll all go good. And even if something does go wrong, hopefully that safety mechanism kicks in and they survive. So.
Well, I tell you what, folks, you're going to need a safety mechanism in a minute. And I know my good friend Bill Bean. There's a couple of things that divide me and Bill Bean, and we have a kind of laugh about it when we do Warrior Mode on a Sunday. And one of the things is Elon Musk. Now, Bill, he believes Elon Musk is entirely from the dark side, and I'm the opposite. And Geordie Rose, he splits us down the middle as well. And one character that I really hadn't looked into too much, but I know Bill had told me, you need to look at her. She is a wrong'un. Well, it's Elon's girlfriend, Grimes, right? So she's called Grimes. Her name's, we'll find out in a moment what her real name is. It's something quite mundane. She goes by the letter C, and she's been in the news, and you could not make this up. Because, folks, I've heard of people selling their soul before. But this takes things to an entirely new level because pop star Grimes, well, she's selling a bit of her soul. Yes, Scott, this is, to say the least, bizarre art. Now, I'm going to post it over in the TFR chat room as we go. But it says here, pop star Grimes is selling a piece of her soul. In the first online exhibition, the musician and the new mother with Elon Musk is turning to conceptual art. Now, straight off the bat, Scotty, you know, Bill's got me here. I certainly can't be defending this one when you've got literally her talking about she's selling bits of her soul online, right? So it says this week the musician Grimes will debut her first fine art show in simultaneous online exhibitions on Gallery Platform Los Angeles and Macaron Los Angeles, and that's in May 28th till June the 3rd and August. And it says the singer, whose real name is Claire Butcher, or Boucher, and who goes by C in conversation, is selling drawings, prints, photographs, and conceptual pieces that she made over the last decade in a show titled Selling Out. So it says, I made art 10 to 12 years before I ever touched a keyboard. And she says on a recent Zoom video call, wearing a Rodart t-shirt or sweatshirt and a headband with bunny ears that she got during a Korean spa treatment. I see myself as a visual artist, first and foremost, and I've always felt strange that people know me for my music. So the drawings, the prints, the photographs, the other work, she says, are a continuation of, rather than a departure from, her music. Now, in some of the artworks, the connection is straightforward. Grimes' aesthetic preference, which she describes as edgy-looking, anime horror, can be seen in the music videos as early as 2012's Genesis. It is clearly evident in such prints as Seldom Crisis from 2016, a collage-like series of portraits and animals that draws heavily on manga for stylistic reference. Now, other pieces are more subtle. Wait, you see, I'll do this one paragraph, Scott, then we'll take a look at them, right? Other pieces are more subtle and include reflections of her life as a public figure. One such work, also titled Selling Out, is a legal document whereby the purchaser acquires a percentage of Grimes' soul. Dude, what is that all about? And now we start to see some of the kind of the weird stuff going on here. We've got like it's an angel, right? A bald angel sitting on top of some machine. We've got skulls on the machine, and that's called War Nymph Prototype 3. And I'll post this in the chat room right now. But Scott, what's your thoughts on what you've heard so far and what you've seen?
Very, very interesting.
Very strange, eh?
I'm actually, I know this is going to sound, I'm actually a fan of like anime horror style art.
You like that, man?
So
Yep.
I kind of like what she's doing.
Okay.
To be honest,
Okay.
in all honesty, because I know that art style. You know, it might seem weird to people. Maybe they haven't seen that manga kind of anime horror style.
Do they all sell their soul in anime horror?
I don't know about all that. No.
You see, that's what makes it that little bit freaky
that's
deaky, right? That's what makes it a little bit freaky deaky.
Yeah, make them a little strange there, a little strange. I mean, but like, is it a metaphor?
Oh, it gets stranger. It gets stranger, dude. It gets stranger, right? Because it says here, when she began to conceive of selling out the artwork, it says, I didn't want anyone to buy it, so I said we should just make it $10 million, and then it probably won't sell. After enlisting her offer, or her lawyer to draft a contract for the sale, the deeper we got with it, the more philosophically interesting it became, she says. Also, I really wanted to collaborate with my lawyer on art. Now, the idea of fantastical art in the form of legal documents just seems very intriguing to me. So, with everything going on in the world, with shutdowns, pushed the global economy into recession, valuing her soul at millions of dollars became a more loaded choice than she'd originally intended. It's the current state of the world. Do you really want to put something up for $10 million? She asks rhetorically. Suddenly, she settled on a price of best offer. So let's take a look at the next one, the next picture, right? What do you make of this one, Scott? We've got the kind of... now, this was done years ago, remember? Well, 2016. We've got kind of like our... is that our Baphomet kind of head with a gas mask on, Scott?
Yeah.
Was she kind of predictive programming with this one? Because there's a lot of stuff on there that looks like it's kind of apt for today, right?
Yeah, a lot of biohazard sort of symbology and kind of craziness.
Butterfly wings, monarch butterfly, may I add? Monarch, yeah. Ooga booga.
Ooga booga.
I know I'm stretching it, Scott. I know, Scott, I'm stretching it. Come on, I'm playing the game.
It's fine. No. Hey, it's Freaky Friday. We got to stretch it.
I like this one's ears. We've got elfin ears and like feathers growing out the forehead. Some kind of transhumanistic type thing going on there, right?
It is very, very interesting.
Can you imagine what Bill Bean's going to say to me when he sees all of this, Scott? Can you?
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be a happy bunny.
Yeah, but Bill's going to be in warrior mode.
There's the next one now. This is a bit weird. It's like a giant ear over like a torso and just a couple of discombobulated or disembodied hands, even. Discombobulated? I don't think they're discombobulated. They're disembodied, though.
Why did the first thing that popped in my head was Siren Head?
Oh, dun, dun, dun. Don't look at these pictures too hard, folks. We might start bringing them into our reality. I don't know. But, yeah, so that's our... that's more like the anime type thing, I would imagine, Scotty boy.
Yeah, I kind of like those ones with the wings.
That's called AI Meditations, led by Warnymph 2020. Cool name. Not really catchy.
So this Warnymph 2020 seems to be a reoccurring character she likes to draw, because wasn't that the same thing that was sitting on top of the
Yeah, you're right, Scott, you're right.
In that first picture.
Yep. Let's see what the name of the second one's called. It's called Untitled. Oh, bit mysterious. From $2,000 for a random ear sitting above a torso. I don't think so. Hey, these people with money, I tell you, dude. And of course, they named their recent child Little X. That's what he goes by. Yes, it's very, very strange. But I thought when I seen that title, I thought, now that is some deep Freaky Friday woo right there. When you've got a pop star, who we often talk about selling their souls, is literally selling it like legal documents as an art exhibition. We are in idiocracy, right? The world has gone mad, dude.
But, I mean, let's also look at it from the angle of you can print out a piece of paper and sell it for $10 million and say that you've sold your soul and just be full of complete BS, and somebody will buy it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like an interesting sort of experiment in how you could like just sucker somebody, because let's be honest, I don't think that her soul is really bound.
Oh, I do. I think as soon as you buy that, it's like you get a lamp and you rub it 3 times and she just comes out of it and sings you a song. That's what I think happens, dude. And Elon just sits at home with a husk and he puts the AI into her, and everyone lives happily ever after, man.
You rub the legal document 3 times.
You burn the legal document, right? You put it into the actual, like, the lamp, right? You obviously do some hocus pocus with 3s and 2s and 2s and rabbit's feet and round a big giant owl at Bohemian, and then when you rub the lamp, out comes Grimes. It's all done.
I mean, because I could fire up Microsoft Word right now. Put together
Can I buy
a
your
nice
soul,
little
big man? Can I buy it $10?
yeah, put together a nice little document, print it off, and say it's it's a legal document. And when you purchase this piece of paper that I printed from my HP DeskJet 1000,
Telling you, man.
you'll have soul. I mean,
Dude, you watch for Shadow Dudes, man. I tell you, man, that devil he deals in legal contracts, Scotty boy. You gotta watch when you're signing these things, man.
I just think if you're gonna sell your soul,
Do it to the devil, right, Scott? Just do it to the devil. Go the whole hog. Give it to the big man.
If you're gonna sell your soul, I think there's a little bit more involved than just heading over to your local printer.
I suppose if you're determined to do it, you might as well go to the big guy, right? He's giving you the best deal. I'm telling you. We'll be back after the break, and our souls will be intact. Or will they? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Yes, indeedy. But as we progress now into even deeper woo, the soul, that's going to be quite interesting because the soul obviously attached to our kind of meat suits, Scotty boy, uses this as a vehicle on this plane. And we're going to be looking at space and things like that. And where do we come from? No longer a question of whether we're alone or not. And I tell you, there's going to be some good woo on the way, Mr. Lopez. Oh, yes, indeed. No more selling souls, I promise.
I mean, I can grab a napkin, scribble something down, and
maybe we should do a contract to come back only next time. We've got a bigger show or something, right? Like next time round, we want the Austin Command Center.
You know that website? I think was it like LegalZoom or something like that, where they can you can print off legal documents. I wonder if LegalZoom has the whole "Do you want to buy my soul?" legal document.
That'd be pretty cool, man. Underwritten by Beelzebub himself. You ever seen that movie, The Devil's Advocate, dude? That's a good one. That's a really good one, right?
Al Pacino, yeah.
Al Pacino, man. Dang, dude, there's an actor now.
Yeah.
Scent of a Woman. Ooh-ha. Brilliant. I might even watch that this weekend. That is a classic movie. How did we get onto Al Pacino and sniffing women? How did that happen, Scott?
I don't know. We might have to get Biden into the conversation. Can you
imagine they tried to release Scent of a Woman nowadays with the Me Too and the woke brigade out there? Like some old toxic guy smelling women? Not good, Scott, you're right.
Maybe they can get Biden to play the
Uncle Joe, man.
No, my dad calls him, dude. We got to start, dude. He's got a new nickname. My dad calls him Grandpa Storytime.
Yeah, that pretty much covers it, dude. It does, doesn't it?
Time. Yeah,
pretty covers it, man. So yes, I'm watching the clock here. I'm getting ready to see if we're going back. I really meant to go to the toilet during this break, but okay, then I'll get it during the next one. Huh? What's half an hour, Scott, when you're absolutely joking? I'm only joking. It's not that bad. You ever do that? Oh, you sometimes sit here, you do the show, and because you're concentrating on things, you just... And then all of a sudden the mics go dead at the end of the night. Whoa! Where did that come from?
Yeah, right at the end of the show, you're like, uh-oh, better make that. Got to do that.
And before the audience say anything, yeah, I know, we're still live on YouTube. We're talking about our toilet antics. Deal with it. That's how we roll here.
Hey, eventually it's just going to get to a point to where, just attach a tube and you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, man, we'll just be batteries for the Matrix, dude. I'm telling you. It's the next thing, man. We're just going to be thrown into a cocoon somewhere. Virtual reality beamed into our domes, and we'll not know. Hey, maybe it's happening already, Scott. Just a brain in a jar. That's all it was. Ken Webb was right all along, man.
I think so. I think Ken Webb nailed it. Long time ago.
I think he did. Here we go, dude. Here we go. And just like that, we were back. Second half of today's Freaky Friday on TFRLive.com. Truth Frequency Radio, your number one network. And on Freaky Friday, we ask you, can you handle the woo? Well, myself and Scotty Lopez are here. And we were getting into selling your soul before the break. And the soul, you know, that's something that we all hold very dearly. And I was saying to Scott during the break, you know, you could look at the body as just a container for the soul. And then you look at the body and you think, well, where did that come from? Where did this shaved piece of hunkalicious meat appear from, right? And that gets you into talk about maybe evolution. I say maybe evolution because when you start to really dig into it, the chances of the proteins and amino acids just randomly coming together into a 200 kind of link combination that would have formed the first bit of DNA, and amongst all that primordial soup and everything else going on, and thank you very much, Bravo Whiskey. Oh, we've got more people going by call sign, Scott. I like this. I'll just be Kilo Bravo the next time. But yeah, I don't know if I'm really buying that whole kind of we just became a single-celled kind of thing out of the chemicals and the primordial soup and amongst all the bombardment of meteors and everything else going on. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that. There is something else out there that's really interesting. Myself and Scott have talked about it before. And I think it's important that we go over it again because we're going to be taking things a little bit deeper this time. And the theory I want us to consider is panspermia, right? And I've got a little article here. It goes kind of over panspermia. And panspermia, to boil it down, it's a transfer of organic material or the basic building blocks that would be needed for life if it finds somewhere where the environment is conducive to it. You know, some people say maybe the universe is teeming with it. Comes on rockets? Comets, maybe, asteroids, things like that. So we come over here and we'll get into this article because I really want to take us where I'm going. So it says here, are we all aliens? Did all life on Earth originate elsewhere with one-celled extremophile bacteria or perhaps more complex multi-celled organisms spreading through space? Or is the situation even stranger and more complex than that, with organisms from other worlds arriving here and bacteria and other life forms from Earth spreading out to seed other planets, moons, and comets? So meteorites that originated on our moon and on Mars have been found on Earth, usually in Antarctica, where they are easily spotted on parts of the ice cap that they have not been contaminated with rocks formed there. Now, large asteroid impacts, it seems, can blast surface material from a planet in an upward direction, exceeding the planet's escape velocity, and some of that material drifts through space and may fall on another world. Now, despite the pressures and high temperatures of the impacts, both when the rocks are blasted off their home world and when they impact their new home, researchers believe a few organisms might survive. European researchers used a Stage 2 light gas gun to fire frozen algae pellets into water at almost 7 kilometers per second. And incredibly, some were still alive. Now, in fact, the idea of life spreading through space, called panspermia, dates back to ancient times. But the first fully developed theory to explain it was the work of Swedish chemist Svante Arrhenius in 1903.
Hey, let me stop you for a second.
On you go, dude.
Isn't that very interesting that the concept of panspermia goes back to ancient times? You know what I mean? Like, think about that for a second. And they kind of just brush over that, but that's actually kind of huge if you think about it. You had ancient civilizations, ancient cultures talking about life spreading from elsewhere. The concept of life spreading across the universe uh, from other worlds, other planets, or other planes, I guess you could say, of existence.
But these people didn't even have the wheels, Scott. How could they possibly have been thinking about things like that?
Yes, they were too busy carving monolithic structures with chicken bones. I'm sorry, Kev.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, chicken bones.
Just thought I'd point that out. Just very interesting.
So what do you think, though, Scott? Because I don't want to go too far into this. I'm only going to read this next paragraph, right? Because it gives the basis, and I think most people listening know about panspermia. And then I'm going to take it further. So to finish this one off, it says, he theorized that microorganisms might be carried to extreme altitudes by violent storms and then be propelled by the pressure of sunlight beyond their home world's escape velocity and eventually drift down through the atmosphere of another world. In modern times, the most famous proponents of this theory may have been the late British astronomer Fred Hoyle and his colleagues Chandra Wickramasinghe. Probably butchered it. We'll call him Chandra. Bacteria and phytoplankton have been found on the outside of the orbiting spacecraft, still viable and able to be revived, whether they originated elsewhere or came from Earth. Now, NASA has done tests as well, proving that many one-celled organisms, and not just extremophile bacteria, can survive in the vacuum and radiation of space. So, Scott, we see... On you go.
I was going to say, not just one-celled organisms. I mean, there's... I forgot what they're called, but they're like an extremophile organism that's found in rivers and stuff. I think they're kind of nicknamed mud bears, but I don't remember the scientific. But that lunar craft that Israel sent into space was loaded with them when it crashed into the surface of
They called it a grey goo or whatever when it crashed and things. Organic matter for sure, right?
Yeah. And so there are organisms on this planet that if you take them up into space, they'll survive. Which makes you wonder, did they originate from Earth to begin with, or did they just kind of end up here?
So what do you think, Scott? Do you think then, and again, doesn't matter if we're right or wrong, we're just talking, but that minute the planet, it gets that thin crust around it, right? And because of fossils they found in Canada, they say that maybe 300 or 30,000 years after, like, it all kind of got the crust over it, that's when you start to see fossils of quite simple singular celled things, and then starts from there, right? So the question is, does life miraculously just bloop out of all that chemicals the moment the planet's kind of getting ready for being conducive to life? It randomly just does that? Or do you think it's more likely that organic matter came here because, again, for that random coming together, and it was Crick, out of Watson and Crick, the guys that cracked what DNA is, he said for this to have happened randomly, by chance, he wasn't playing that game. So he definitely thought there was panspermia involved, man. The dude that cracked DNA.
Remember how we were discussing mycelium, and you were discussing that whole kind of concept that the latest Star Trek series kind of goes with that there's this common mycelium organism that exists throughout the entire universe. What if there are certain common organic or certain common organisms that do exist throughout the universe, right? And if these common, I'll call them organism compounds, or very simple, maybe like you said single cell organisms. If these things end up on a planet that is conducive for them to thrive in, then maybe we're talking about like a common sort of organism that kicks off an evolutionary chain reaction on a planet that it ends up on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If it doesn't end up on the planet, then nothing will ever evolve, right? Or if the conditions aren't conducive for it to thrive in, then that planet's just going to be like a dead planet. But if it ends up on a planet where, say, there's some water, there's a little bit of stuff for it to work with, then it kicks off the chain reaction. It kicks off the chain reaction of evolution. That could be a possibility.
Absolutely. But then it takes you to the point then. I'll ask you then, from that point where the life starts to evolve, do you think it was unimpeded, uninterrupted, or do you think there's been perhaps episodes of manipulation? Genetic manipulation, Scotty.
Yes. Yes, genetically modified. Yes,
so we're like GMHs. We're all genetically modified humans, dude. Because I'm with you, by the way. I agree with you, and I'm going to back it up, and I'm going to prove it by the time we're finished tonight.
Yeah, I believe there have been episodes of manipulation that have occurred as well. I think there are some planets where maybe there was never any manipulation because there was probably no interest in manipulating whatever was on that planet.
So let's think about it, Scott, right? We've got a planet here, Earth, right? Goldilocks zone. Let's just say that there are older, more advanced aliens out there. Some of them highly advanced, right? Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're reptilians. I'm not going to tell you they're Nordics. Just think they're aliens. They know about this planet. So they know that there's something going on here. They know it ticks all the boxes. They're crazy scientists. I love scientists, and they think, right, we'll go there and we'll do something. We'll do some bada bing, bada boom. Do some genetic manipulation in the room, right? So if that did take place, then surely, like any computer code, if somebody was to, come along and maybe crack it and put in some rogue lines or tweak it a little, you would think there would be evidence somewhere for that, right? Well, I am going to tell you right now that there is plenty of evidence for that. And I think the best people that I can offer up to you would be... Let me just dig up my crazy notes, and Scott will be laughing here in a moment. You can see all my crazy notes. But if I was to tell you that somebody called Maxim A. Marukov of the Frezenkov Astrophysical Institute and Vladimir I. Sherlbach from the Al-Farabi Kazakh National Institute spent 13 years working on the Human Genome Project, a mission, as we know, that literally mapped out the human genome. And what they discovered, and what they've published papers on, it's going to be pretty mind-blowing if you haven't heard this before. But they found exactly what I was talking about. They found what they think was some kind of...
a marker,
a signature, almost like, somebody signs their code, Scott. When a hacker looks at another hacker's work, they can laugh and go, there's the signature there. It's like an MO, right? It's like, a bomb as well. You get your bomb maker's signature. Well, these cats found the signature, and do you know what the signature was, ladies and gentlemen? It was a number. And the number that we all need to be thinking about is the number 37. Yes. So it says here, Maxim Mukukov has an idea. It's unorthodox. You might call it out there, but Makukov understands that. He knew he'd have his critics the moment he began to development. But it's there in the numbers, he says, and numbers don't lie. A cosmologist and an astrobiologist at the Fezenkov Astrophysical Institute in Almaty, Kazakhstan, Makukov says the numbers reveal that all terrestrial life came from outer space. Not only that, it was planted on Earth by intelligent aliens. Billions of years ago, the planet was barren and lifeless, but then, at some distant and unknowable moment, it was seeded with what Makukov calls an intelligent-like signal, Mr. Lopez. A signal that's too orderly and intricate to have occurred randomly. So what's your thoughts so far, Scotty?
I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Yeah.
This signal, he says, is in our genetic code. Highly preserved across cosmological timescapes, it has been waiting there like an encrypted message for anyone qualified to read it. All of the teeming varieties of life on Earth, from kangaroos and daffodils to albatrosses and us, carry it with them. And now Makukov, along with his mentor, mathematician Vladimir Sherbak of the Al-Farabi Kazakh National Institute in Almaty, and is that not, I think that's Astana, Scott, isn't it? They changed the name of Astana, didn't they? Claims to have cracked it. If they are right, the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 37. So the idea that terrestrial life has extraterrestrial origins has a long and sometimes distinguished history. And the standard version goes something like this. A primitive alien life form, perhaps a bacterium, somehow hitches a ride through space aboard an object like a meteoroid, collides with our young planet, and seeds it with life. Against innumerable odds, its descendants flourish and spread across Earth. In 1871, Lord Kelvin hypothesized that there are countless seed-bearing meteoric stones moving about through space, and in his 1908 book, Worlds in the Making, Nobel laureate Svante Arrhenius named the process Panspermia. As recently as 2009, Stephen Hawking, RIP, speculated that life could spread from a planet to planet, or from stellar system to stellar system, carried on meteors. So prestigious backers notwithstanding, panspermia has not found widespread acceptance, although many biologists accept a weaker version of it. Most biologists will agree that there is a contribution to the origin of life from cosmic sources, says P.Z. Myers of the University of Minnesota, Morris. And we have lots of organic compounds just floating around in space. And I think it misses a bit out there. But the idea goes back to 1973 when Francis Crick published a paper in Planetary Sciences journal Icarus, at the same time edited by Carl Sagan. And Crick, remember, he's one half of the team that cracked DNA. In it, Crick asked the question, could life have started on Earth as a result of infection by microorganisms sent here deliberately by a technological society on another planet by means of a long or a special long-range unmanned spaceship? Now, extraordinary claims like this require extraordinary evidence. And for more than a century, people have been trying to find at least some of that evidence, proof of the existence of sentient aliens. Now, the bulk of this effort, known as SETI, or the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, has involved trying to detect radio signals. But despite almost a century of vigilance, some SETI senior, or says SETI senior astronomer Seth Shostak, they have heard nothing. With one possible exception, in 1977, SETI researchers in Ohio picked up the WOW signal. Now, we've all heard about that one before. It says the radio silence has inspired some to widen the search. Many have asked, what if the message is here on Earth already? What if we are the message? In his 2010 book, The Eerie Silence, Paul Davies, a physicist at Arizona State University, wrote about genomic SETI, the idea that our genome might house a secret message. Now, he was following the physicist George Marx, who in 1979 wrote, "It is possible that a few billion years ago, an advanced civilization prepared some sort of message using genetic engineering and sent it to Earth. This extraterrestrial DNA molecule became the starting point of biological evolution." So
Yeah, very interesting.
yeah, isn't it? And it says Mukakov and Cherbak's ideas are in this tradition, but instead of rummaging through DNA, they look to the genetic code, a complex set of rules by which DNA is translated into proteins. Now, the genetic code shouldn't be confused with the genome, but it is a specific set of genetic instructions for making a fruit fly, say, or a giant redwood. Instead, it specifies how to convert those instructions into proteins. Now, unlike genomic DNA, the code is stable. Genomes mutate over time, but the code is passed down the generations without alteration and appears to have remained almost completely unchanged for billions of years. For that reason, says Makukov, it is the perfect place to plant a message. Billions of years ago, he says, that is precisely what happened. To test the idea, Makukov and Sherbak devised a mathematical approach to analyze the code, searching for patterns unlikely to occur at random. Their arguments are often dense and impenetrable, filled with complex mathematical formulae, but at heart, Makukov says it's very simple. The genetic code is like some type of combinational puzzle, he says. In other words, once you begin to analyze it, hidden regularities emerge. It was clear right away that the code has a non-random structure, says Makukov. The patterns that we describe are not simply non-random. They have some features that, at least from our point of view, were very hard to ascribe to natural processes. And Exhibit A is Römer's transformation. In 1966, Soviet mathematician Yuri Römer pointed out that the genetic code can be divided nearly in half. One half is the whole family, codons, in which all four codons with the same two initial letters from the same amino acid. The AC family, for instance, is whole because codons beginning A and C code for seronine. On the other side are split family codons, which don't have this property. Now, I know it's getting confusing, folks, but we're almost getting there. We'll get there before the break. But it says here, Römer first noted that there is no good reason why the codons should be whole. More profoundly, he realized that applying a simple rule, swapping T for G and A for C, converts one half of the code into the other. Now, that might sound inevitable, but it's not. In 1996, a mathematician I can't pronounce called Olga of the Al-Farabi Kazakh National Institute calculated the probability of it occurring by chance as 3.09 to the power of 32. And Römer's transformation is just one of many patterns and symmetries in the code. Now, it's going to miss a bit out here, but it actually goes on to talk about a combined side chain atomic mass of 703, Both are multiples of the prime number 37, which has interesting mathematical properties of its own. In fact, 37 recurs frequently in the code. For example, the mass of the molecule core, shared by all 20 amino acids, is 74, which is 37 doubled. Which is 37 doubled. So there we go, Scott. 37 is in there, repeating. It's a code that they see in there that makes them think there's some alien shenanigans going on with it.
3.09 to the, what was it?
32.
10 to the 32nd power. That's a big number.
It's a big number, dude. That's like, if that was the odds of the lottery, I ain't playing it. But after the break, folks, what if I told you I could actually explain to you how all of this happened? I can tell you exactly how there was a UFO crash. I can tell you where it was. And I can tell you who done it. Join me after the break for the biggest story ever right here on Freaky Friday, because that's how we roll. We'll be right back. It's a bold claim, Mr. Scott. It's a bold claim, Scott, but I'm going to blow it out. I'm going to blow it out the water, man. After this one, I'm dropping the mic and I'm out of here, dude.
Bold claims, Mr. Baker.
I'm going to put some tunes on because I've remembered I need the toilet this time. And it adds to that pregnant kind of pause. We'll build up the atmosphere. I'm about to answer the biggest questions in the universe, dude.
Yes, and I'll fix my cam too.
Yes.
While we're doing so.
Nice. So don't go anywhere, folks. We might just solve all of our problems in one small moment. You're going to be blown away by this. And it all goes back to speaking to our lovely Australian friends. Go figure. Music, maestro. Yes, we'll be back in just a moment, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Are you true? Can you woo 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 woo? We don't run this like we do.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are live. I'm trying to drown out the music, but it doesn't seem to be working. Bang, we are back. We are live. Scotty Lopez, how you doing, man? Are you ready? Ready for what lies ahead, Mr. Scott?
Yes, my Skype kind of glitched and did something weird. You might have to reshare your screen again. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we can get on with that. Yeah, don't worry about that, dude. I'll
Okay.
start sharing. You disappeared. You see, you do all these crazy things. You just like to see me working hard, Scott. That's what it is, man. That's what it is, right? So before the break, we were talking about panspermia, where we come from. We were talking about the DNA researchers who were part of the Human Genome Project, who, during their studies, they came to the conclusion that there was something very, very unnatural going on with the code within the DNA. Now, this was all to do with the proteins, the amino acids, things like this. And we came to the understanding that at the heart of all of this, the code 37 repeats. And that may be an indication of some genetic manipulation, right? So,
Yes.
now then, let's think about this, right? Because this all connects into the show I done last weekend with Jess, Mammoth Hunter, who was co-hosting. We had Donnie and we had Luna on there as well. And the fire that I've got in the background has some really cheap and cheerful elevator music attached to it. So I need to turn that really down because that was really irritating. But anyway, when we were on that show, we got talking about ancient knowledge from the Aboriginal people, the mobs, as I came to learn that they are referred to, same as our clans over here. And totally different system altogether, Scott. Cool show. But I had to put my toxicity in the drawer, man. It's a matriarchal system, dude. The women are in charge and things, so that was quite cool. So we done it by tradition. We done it by cultural norms and things, right? So we got talking, and at one point, Luna started saying to Donnie, tell him about the stone. Tell him about the stone, right? So we'd been talking about how Aboriginal people, Australians, refer to something called the bush telegraph. And it's basically where, like, you can have telepathic conversation. You got Donnie somewhere, you got Luna another place, talking, dude, back and forth, right? And then we got into this stone. Now, they were telling me this stone, this is like man business. This is man stuff. This is for the clever fella, right? This is for the elders. And this stone, it says it goes back and it holds this ancient knowledge, ancestral knowledge, Scott, right? So this was all playing out when we done the show on Sunday. And Saturday last week, sorry. So then in the meantime, I got sent a book through. Now, we had Bruce Fenton on the show, the second time Jess, Mammoth Hunter, was on. And after the show, he started talking to us about a book that he thought Jess might really be interested in, and a book that I might be interested in. And the name of the book is Alcharinga, When the First Ancestors Were Created, right? Now, I was only reminded about this because Bruce's wife has written a book which is called Hybrid Humans, Scientific Evidence for Our 800,000-year-old Alien Legacy. So, so in there, it talks about get the word right again, the Alcharinga stone, right? Now, the Alcharinga stone, you come to learn, and I'll just give a bit of a brief kind of history description on what that is. It's a charunga. Now, a charunga, as it says here, or charinga, also spelled, gives a couple of spellings, is an object considered to be of religious significance by Central Australian Aboriginal people of the Arrernte, the Aranda, the Arunta groups, or mobs, as I came to learn. And the Chiringa often had a wide and intermediate native significance. They may be used variously in sacred ceremonies, bull roarers, in sacred ground paintings, in ceremonial poles, in ceremonial headgear, in sacred chants, and sacred earth mounds. Right? So I was prompted today to go and find this story, this Al Chiringa, the story about one of these stones in Australia, right? Because when I was speaking to Donnie about it, and Luna, Donnie says, whoa, I had to get out of there, it made me feel ill, man. Power coming off this thing. I'm thinking, whoa. Now, I don't know if this is the same stone that Donnie might have seen that I'm about to talk about in a minute, but what I'm about to tell you, folks, and what you're about to hear is going to melt your head. Because it's got everything. It's going to prove everything we just went through before the break, and it's going to give you the exact story of what happened when we came here. Scotty, it's going to blow your mind. So we're going to our website now. I know, dude. I know. Big claims, I know. But I think by the end of it, you'll go, well, Kev, even if we can't prove it entirely, you definitely ticked the box on the claim you were making, man. So what are you thinking before I get into these ancient stones, dude? Or this ancient stone?
I'm excited. This is some really, really good woo. And once again, Australia coming in with the clutch on this. Australia just doesn't get enough credit for the woo that is found there.
I am the #1 Scottish show in Australia. There you go. But folks, on a more serious note, on you go, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably something to this. There's got to be. Like I said, they don't just pass these oral traditions and stories, or down for no reason. It's all based in something that has occurred, and there's a base of truth to all of this. And we've said that many times when it comes to all kinds of ancient lore and myth and legends and all of that stuff. So it's going to be interesting I'm interested. I'm definitely interested in what this stone is all about.
A big shout out to my brother and sister down in Australia. They're in the chat room right now. If I get any of this wrong, I am very, very well aware I'll get taken to task when we team up again with the Down Under crew. But we come over here, and the book that Bruce Fenton had mentioned to me, the book that ties in with all of what we're talking about here, is written by somebody called Valerie Barrow, and it's called Al Chiringa, When the First Ancestors Were Created. So I went looking today. I thought, surely this lady has got a website. Oh, she does. Oh, she does. And I'm going to tell you a story now, folks. We're going to find out the story of Valerie Barrow. And this, folks, is my best scenario, my best guesstimation as to how we all got going to where we are today. And it's going to blow your mind. There's aliens, there's UFOs, there's stuff that's going to just melt the head. Now, we've got a little super chat coming in. Happy birthday to the one we call Mannerus. And of course, we done the Oak Island special with Manny, right? I mean, dang, dude.
Yes, happy birthday, Mannerus. And
Yes.
that was some excellent woo. Oak Island woo is always.
Always, Scott, right up there, right up there, man. Definite.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, we'll just wait for that to come in, and then we'll proceed into the Al Chiringa. We'll keep people waiting just a moment, but this story is fantastic, folks. Wait till you hear it. There we go.
Happy birthday to the one that we call Manires.
Now, I did play Happy Birthday for, I can't remember who it was before, Leslie, I think. Came off the stream to get met with a copyright notice, Scott, so I won't be doing that again. Can you believe somebody hitting you for happy birthday, man? Have a bit of heart. Come on. You know?
Aren't you supposed to sing it twice when washing your hands?
Oh, don't even go there. I tell you what, though, right? You need to do more than wash your hands when you start to get into Al Charinga.
I think we
So
have
then,
one more coming in.
we do have one more coming in. We
What-
shall
one more
wait just a moment again then. So we shall. There we go.
There we go.
Happy birthday, Manny.
Queen Goddess, thank you and happy birthday. Yes, so then, the sacred Al Charinga stone. An intelligent, knowledgeable lady who worked in the media brought the Al Charinga stone to our property. Our property had already been named Al Charinga, an Aborigine word meaning dreamtime, golden age, or when the first ancestors were created, and this is what attracted her to us. So the stone was wrapped first in paper bark, then in a white calico cloth and tied with string, the size of a shoebox. Now, sitting with the Alcharinga stone, while holding it in my lap, I experienced a bright blue, white, opalescent light in my inner scene. Now, over a period of time, I suspected that the sacred stone influenced people in some way to find their way to our property. I knew that I was never to open the package to look at the stone, nor to photograph it. I missed the stone when it had to go. I've become very attached to it, almost as though it was part of my family. I actually love it, and I suppose that feeling has come from the energy of the stone, and from it where it originally comes. I remember sitting with it not longer after I began reading the readings for my first book, The Book of Love by a Medium, when I became aware there was a small spirit attached to it. The small spirit was helping the stone on its travels down through the ages it had been on Earth. The spirit told me it just put a thought into somebody's head to lift it and carry it to wherever it wanted to go. Nothing surprises me these days.
Hey, I agree with that. Nothing surprises me these days either. So
You're quite right there, dude. Absolutely. It says, while holding the sacred stone the day the little spirit introduced itself to me, the little spirit being moved into my energy field, speaking through me with a stilted voice, a different voice from my mentor, while moving my head from side to side as it communicated. It told me that I have come from the stars, and I am the one influencing the stone's travels. It is easy to put a thought into somebody's head so that the stone will be picked up and travel from one place to another. And the stone had a role to play on this planet after the development of the animal man into human. Now, you come to learn, Scott, that the woman that brought the stone to her, she had been told that one day you'll know who to give this to for safekeeping. And during the show with Luna and Donnie and Jess, we came to find that there's really, some things are men stuff and some things is women stuff. When it comes to these stones, it's very much the men and very much an elder, somebody that's ready to handle these things, right? Because they come with great power. So that's how the stone kind of ended up there. And like it said, her house had the right name. This person recognized it. But more than that, they felt they had to go and give the stone to her. So it says the Australian Aboriginal people have always known that the Alcharinga stone had come from the stars. And we too were receiving the understanding that the stone was moulded from clay from another planet. It had been brought to our planet by the Leonine people and the Star people. Now, as told in my second book, Alcharinga, when the first ancestors were created, the Leonines and the Syrians from Sirius had arrived about 5 years Earth time after the mission of mercy by the mothership Rexenga had come from the Palladian star constellation. Now, the mothership had 50,000 star people on board, was attacked and destroyed in Earth's outer atmosphere.
Ooh. Mm,
Eh,
that's whoa. That's
eh,
pretty crazy, man. And
You know what's
so
crazy? When we had Donnie on, that's what he was saying to us. That thing, it's like almost like a communications device to like the Pleiades. And now when I was reading this today, we had the Pleiades thing coming up. I'm thinking, oh, dude.
uh, hey, and isn't that 50,000 number? Isn't that tied in with like Asgardia? Is it Asgardia? There's some kind of a 50,000, or was it 30,000? I don't know. Something about that number of people that to get off world or something. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Well,
it gets
just
better,
keep
dude.
going.
It gets better. So everyone in the galaxy heard of the tragedy. There were 90 survivors living on the land that we now call Australia, although the Star People referred to this planet as Mu. Now, the survivors welcomed their rescuers from Sirius and the gifts of the Alcharinga stone. Holding it felt like going home. It was imbued with the energy from our planet, or from the home planet. It held energy of love and compassion, and it presented as a blue, white light, and lifted the consciousness of those holding it to a place that I could only describe as conscious dreaming. Now, in the beginning, the Alcharinga stone was given to the new breed of upstanding ape-like creatures who had inherited their genes from the Star People. Now, they were known to the people as the cherished ones. They continued to hold the stone and remember long after the Star People had left their bodies. It was held with deep reverence. Over the years, the indigenous stonekeeper, generation after generation, in trying to keep it safe, put fear into the hearts of the tribe about its power. It was only ever to be handled by the appointed stonekeeper, no one else, and the tribe began to believe that they would get sick if they opened its paper bark package and looked upon it. Now, Scott, even before I go any further there, that has a similarity for me with the church in Ethiopia where they claim that the Ark of the Covenant is.
Dude, hey, man, we are on the same wavelength. I was like, that sounds very,
Doesn't
very
it?
similar to like the Ark of the Covenant, where only like a specific chosen few are allowed to handle it, and if
Usually
you're
they go
not,
blind after a while, don't they? I remember
yeah, and
Graham
you're not supposed
Hancock
to
going
look
there,
at it.
right?
Yeah, you know, so yeah, a lot of similarities to
Yeah.
like this ancient artifact that only a chosen few are
It gets better.
allowed to, protect, and not many people, you're not supposed to really mess with it because of the power that it holds. I mean,
It's
yeah.
good word, dude. It's good word. It says, the Earth nearly died around 10,000 years ago when seawater rose and land sank all over the Earth. The Australian Aborigine have dreamtime stories about the event of a great flood. The stone was rescued again by the Star People. Archaringa himself once again returned from the stars, giving the sacred stones to the cherished ones. Now, the stone became lost again, probably when the white man came to Australia. Now, in the
Whoa. So hold on, before you continue. So what that suggests is pre-flood civilization,
Mhm.
right? And that it was lost during the flood, and then the cycle repeated again, and the stone was
this stone goes back like hundreds of thousands of years, like
yeah,
800,000.
so it's been through these like cataclysmic cycles, and um the aliens, or I'm just gonna call them aliens, the beings who brought this to the planet, knew that this cataclysm was to come. They they protected the stone, and then after the aftermath of said cataclysm, the survivors, the stone was once again given to them for protection. Very interesting.
In the early days of the white man's settlement, it was found in a cave by an Afghanistani wandering the Australian desert with his camel, selling goods. Now, he tried to give it back to the local tribes, but they refused it. They were frightened of it. Generations later, the Afghanistani's family gave it to a white lady, whom they knew had contact with a local tribe. Now, she also experienced difficulty in coaxing the tribal people to take it back, even though she had been initiated into the tribe. And the white lady had opened the package to look inside. That was how I came to know the stone looked like moulded clay, with ochre concentric circle drawings upon it. Now, intuitively, I knew it was not to be opened, that it was said to be only for the clever people, or the clever men, of the tribe to view it. I honoured and respected that. Now, the white lady travelled to Central Australia to try and find the indigenous keeper of the stone. On her journey, she experienced a very clear past life memory of being an Afghanistani in the early days of the white man's settlement, who had walked with his camel through the outback and found the stone in a cave. In her inner sight, she could see the stone glowing and knew it was special. It was somewhere near Uluru. Now, the white lady understood why she felt so responsible and driven to return the stone to its rightful owners. She became seriously ill, not from having the Alchiringa stone, but because she had overindulged alcohol in her life and had serious liver damage. It was then she heard of me living on the property Alchiringa. So she made her way with friends to Alchiringa at Canyon Lee. As soon as she walked through our front door and met me, she decided I could be trusted to look after the stone for a while she recovered. Unbeknown to me at the time, she had told her friends that the sacred stone was to stay with me should anything happen to her. I had it in my care for 2 years, always keeping it safely deposited in our healing room facing east. John, my husband, and many of my psychic friends had sat with it and experienced its power. Some to the point they cried with recognition when they held it, just as I had done when I first took hold of it. After 2 years, the lady recovered for a while and wanted the stone returned to her. This was a great wrench for me, and the Alchiringa stone had been like a baby to me, much loved, and attached to the memory of the star being in my soul memory when it first came to this earth. So it seemed very appropriate that on Sunday, 12/5/1996, that upstairs coordinated events for it to be handed back to the white lady. It was Mother's Day. The white lady and I agreed to meet at the lighthouse at Byron Bay, Bunjalung tribal community. I probably butchered that. The furthest point east off the coast of Australia. It was evening, and as the sun was setting, we could see in the distance Wollumben. Now, the sunset was magnificent in rainbow colours, and clouds like wings of a giant angel spread across the sky that was reflected in the calm bay of the Wollumben mountain to the lighthouse. The sight took our breath away. Now, the white lady suggested that I sit alone with the stone before I pass it back to her. Spirit then spoke to me clearly in my head. I was surprised at the clarity and was told that the green Chrysophrase? What's that, Scott? Chrysophrase?
Yeah,
or
Chrysophrase.
Chrysophrase, yeah. That I had brought to be passed on as a gift to the future indigenous stonekeeper was a gift from the heart of Australia. So the Chrysophrase had been given to me when I had visited Uluru. It was an appropriate gift to the stonekeeper. The voice also said I was to ask the white lady to pass on the message to the future Aboriginal stonekeeper that I was carrying the energy of the being known as the eighth sister from the Pleiades, and that she had now returned as promised. I handed the paperback package to Helen and wished her a safe and successful journey, although I was concerned that she was not looking well at all. Within half an hour of parting with the stone, Jerry, my Aboriginal friend, rang me on a mobile. I was surprised by his call. I hadn't spoken to him for ages, and he didn't know I was within view of his beloved Wollumben. It is his country, Bunjalung country. So nevertheless, I repeated what the Alchiringa stone had said about the eighth sister from the Pleiades. Oh yeah, I'll have to tell you more about her. It said she will return when the time is right. It is in our dreaming stories. And on that note, we will leave it for the break and we'll come back. Scotty, you liking this, dude? It gets wild, man. It gets wild.
This is just oozing with woo.
We have taken Freaky Friday to another level again. You gotta go down under to go right up, right? We'll be right back after the break. Don't go anywhere. Ah, yes, indeedy. And we haven't even... If you think you've got woo from this story so far, I can assure you we've got nothing yet. Nothing yet, Scott. Nothing. Not even a little bitty. Good woo?
So if you got to go down under to go above, is that
Good eye, mate.
as above, so below? I don't know.
I don't know, but it was quite freaky yesterday as well. I'd done a stream, right? And I was saying, because I've got this weird thing with Australia going on right now, I said, wouldn't it be weird, like, if we found that the antipodal point of Glasgow was, like, in Australia? New Zealand, dude. It was in New Zealand. I know, man. I know. How freaky is that? Even though that's freaky, right?
Hey, that's close enough.
When it comes to woo, that's within acceptable woo boundaries, right?
Yes, acceptable woo bound. You know what, Kev? There's going to be a portal that's going to open up in your living room, and a freaking kiwi is going to just pop out of it.
Telling you, man. Telling you, dude.
You're just gonna have kiwis just raining out of a portal in your living room.
Might happen, man. Big Maori fellas will start doing that mad crazy hacker thing. And they'll say, "Oh, guys, what's up, man? What's up? Let's get into the woo. Did you bring one of those Alchiringa stones with you? What? You didn't bring a stone? What's happening, man?"
Kev's like, I always knew that I was your people.
Yes, I found my people. Yes.
Hey, maybe the portal will open up and Aussie Man will pop out of it.
Oh, dude, the Aussie man might review me.
Exactly.
It's one review you never want, Scott, right? You know, if the Aussie man reviews you, you've done something pretty stinky, dude.
He's like, all right, mate, look at this Kev Baker.
It's a beauty.
Yeah, he's a beauty.
What are the chat room saying? I'm scared to look. Scared to look in case our Australian friends are going, that Baker, we're going to kill you. No, they're actually enjoying it. Yeah, they're enjoying it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's woo, man.
It's deep woo. This is some of the deepest woo I think we've taken to the table in a long time.
Yeah, we got stone brought by the Palladians and
wait till you hear the story that's behind it, dude. And it gets into hieroglyphs in Australia and whoa, man.
I like how the indigenous Aboriginal guy just like calls her on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, wait till I tell you about all this action that you're about that we talk about in our."
You know, when you're speaking to people, you can just tell that like you're meant to be talking to them because it's like important. That's what it felt like doing the show with it, like Down Under. It was like, dang, but we're gonna be doing it all again, like next month, Scott, and I think there's gonna be even more. We were looking at giant axe heads. I mean, if Joe Joseph's seen this thing, I'll try and show you, at some point. But it sounds like the size of me, dude. It's like weighs tons. And it's got a perfect edge on it. I'm thinking, dang.
Yeah. You show Joe that, he's gonna be like, "I told you, I told you."
Exactly. He's gonna be he'll be like a child in a candy shop, won't he? Hang on, I'll bring it onto the screen so that everyone can see it here before we go back. That's what I'm talking about, dude. A giant axe head.
Whoa.
Look at that thing. Look at it there. Look at that.
Holy crap.
Holy crap. That's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
your
here
your
we go.
average fellow ain't swinging that thing around.
Not a clever fella you need. It's a right strong one.
How dare you?
Yes, indeed. We're back. Final segment of today's Freaky Friday right here on Truth Frequency Radio. And we are talking about magic stones. The Alcharinga stone, to be precise. A stone that has ancestral energies, stories, and connections that run through it to this day. Such a powerful stone that no ordinary person really can be around it. And it's really reserved for what they call the clever man in the tribes or the mobs of the Aboriginal people in Australia. And we haven't even got to the good bit yet. So we're going to dive right back in here because I really want to rattle through it. Need to get to some of the good stuff. You think you've heard it all just now. Just wait, folks. It gets crazier. And when I say crazy, I mean better. So we left it off where Jerry basically told Valerie, oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'll tell you more about her. And it said that she will return when the time is right. It is in our dreaming stories. Now, I came to understand at the weekend as well, the dreaming, the dream time, it's within all Aboriginal people. It's like their connection, Scott, you know?
It sounds very similar to kind of like sweat lodge for Native Americans, where you kind of connect and you go into this sort of meditative sort
Altered
of
state. Yeah.
altered state of consciousness.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
It says here, he must be referring to Egarina, the star person from the mothership Rex Egina. I think that's how you pronounce it. And the one who had survived its destruction, my soul ancestor. Now, the white lady carrying the precious stone set off in her car with great determination once again into the red centre of Australia. Sadly, she failed and returned home with the stone in her possession. When she became seriously ill, her friends were convinced that it was the stone that was making her sick and quickly took the stone to the Aboriginal Land Council in Redfern, Sydney, insisting they take it back. Now, sadly, the lady passed away. Now, after her funeral, I rang the Land Council to ask what had happened to the sacred stone, and they advised it had been posted onto the Land Council at Alice Springs. I was aghast. I couldn't believe that a sacred relic could just be posted somewhere. In a slow drawl, the Aborigine on duty said it will get to where it is meant to go. Like you said, the stone has a mind of its own. Now, I need to, is this actually going to link me to the bits that I was going to get into? Right, I'll break it down, right? What they kind of say is, Scott, this stone, the story that it lays out is that 800,000 years ago, a collection of star beings, alien species, that had got together in the Pleiades, had recognized and identified Earth as a world that they could come and they could basically take back from a negative alien force that was in our solar system. So they came in, 50,000 of them set off on this terraforming colonization mission. And when they got to just outside of the Earth's atmosphere, they had defeated this entity, this evil force, and a rogue attack on the mothership took it out. Now, the ship itself was said to have been built basically of a crystalline structure, and itself was kind of sentient and conscious and biological in the life form, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was 100 so of these people that did make it down to the planet. Now, over the years, this is where it gets really weird, and in Valerie's book, she explains it all, but she spoke to over 30 people that have had past life regressions, and they can remember being part of a 50,000 strong delegate that came to Earth, got attacked, and they remember either, unfortunately, the trauma of what happened to them passing away, but some remembered what happened after that. And the 100 that stayed here decided, we can't do the full program that we intended to do. They'd lost everything. No even a way of communicating back home. So they decided to take the local apes, early hominids, tweak about with their DNA, and come up with as good a kind of makeshift solution as they could. Couldn't be the same thing they were planning to do with everything. Then 5 years later, you had some other aliens turning up. Now, they called these like a feline set of species, like cat-like. Now, they came down and they got rid of the remnant of what sounds very much like reptilians to me that had scampered underground when this war had taken. I know, dude, I know, right? I know. But what makes it even better is that they keep on describing the Earth as like a living library. And the reason this place is so kind of crazy, super cool is, right? All of that junk DNA that they talk about, we contain all of the blueprints for all of the species, not just here, but in the entire universe.
Ooh.
And even, get this, they even have some means of the enemy that they defeated, the bad ones, that they would incarnate into this form so they themselves would have a chance to redeem themselves over time. Their souls were put in so there was good ones and bad ones, and that's why you get good eggs and bad eggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this Alcharinga stone, this contains all of that knowledge and connections and communications with star peoples and things to this day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's some mind melting stuff, dude.
That's some pretty mind-melting, pretty weird stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with that. But so, like, right
Good
off the
word.
bat, yeah, that is
Top notch.
top tier. Yeah, top tier. That is premium, creme de la creme. That is the creme de la creme.
We've
of
been
food.
knocking it out the park these last few Freaky Fridays, Mr. Scott. Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. So,
where to begin with that then, Scott? Exactly where to
Oh.
begin with that. What do you think, dude?
I'm kind of on board with it. Makes sense to me. Just because of the fact of a lot of, I would say a lot of corroborating mythos and stories from other civilizations across the planet, not just the Aborigines, right? There seems to be a common thread of flood that everybody talks about. There also is the common thread of star people or beings from another wherever coming down and warning the native population that there is going to be some kind of a cataclysm. You have the Mahabharata, right?
Mm-hmm.
In India, which I think is a perfect example of probably describing this battle that you were just talking about. This war that occurred
Never
where they're
thought of that,
finding-
by the way. Never thought of that.
Yeah, think of that. You know, what was written in the Mahabharata was describing energy weapons and warfare taking place in the skies, which to me would suggest a space battle of some kind
Well,
occurring above the
I'll
planet.
tell you another connection I can think of right off the bat. Talking to Donna, Looney, Donna, Donnie and Luna, not Donna and Looney. That definitely not Donnie and Looney. I'll get it right next time. Donnie and Luna and Jess, right? They were talking about the whole kind of reincarnation thing, and the ancestors reincarnating, things like that. But when you look at the Hindu shamans as well, Scott, some of them claim that they can basically, like, if they reach that high level of consciousness, they can basically choose their next life. And there's even like cases where children have claimed to be reincarnated, like yogi masters and things like that. And turns out the yogi master had already said before he had gone, I'm going to come back as this, this, and this. And now that seems like a commonality there, this whole kind of reincarnation, past lives, and weird.
I think that also ties into genetic memory.
Yeah.
I mean, now we're talking about the code of our DNA and this genetic code, which we were talking about earlier,
I'll
right?
tell you something really weird. Just while I've remembered that, this is going to freak you out. It freaked me out when I heard it. Now, I've not had a chance to really dig deep on it, right? But it was getting into past life regressions and evidence, right? Like palpable evidence that people have had past lives. And it was talking about studies that have been done. And this dude has wrote a whole heap of books. I'm going to need to do a show on this. But people that, like, get regressed and things like that, they talk about their past lives, and when they track it down, and we're not talking about famous people, we're not talking about people that remember being Joan of Arc or some famous dude we all know about, somebody really bizarre. The example it used is Cathars, right? And what they found is, and again, I'll need to dig this up, but past lives, they remember their life, they remember how they passed, you know, maybe like a spear, for example, a sword to the chest. You know, these people have birthmarks exactly where they claim to have.
Yes, I was going to bring up the exact same thing, Kevin.
Epigenetics, right? Yeah, epigenetics, man. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, we're thinking on the same wavelength here. I was going to bring up the exact same thing, that birthmarks, you know, when talked about past lives, usually represent the area of trauma that caused person in their past life to pass. So, like, you have a birthmark on your head, maybe you were hit in the head with something or shot in the head, I don't know, whatever. Or you got a birthmark on your stomach, maybe you were, you know, whatever trauma that may have caused the person to pass in their past life, it is carried on through some kind of, like you said, epigenetics of some kind. And
this is the dude. I've just found a quick thing from the dude that was in this book they were talking about. Dr. Ian Stevenson, this article by Dr. Ian Stevenson, published in Academic Journal 1993, provides an amazing graphic evidence that physical traits somehow carry over from past lives to present life. It is also a sample of Dr. Stevenson's thoroughness of his academic style. It's not easy reading, but it is, in my opinion, the strongest proof yet of reincarnation. Now, he's got a whole heap of papers, this cat, and it says abstract, and this comes from one of his papers. It was presented at the 11th annual meeting of the Society for Scientific Exploration, Princeton University. Almost nothing is known about why pigmented birthmarks, moles, or nevi occur in particular locations of the skin. The causes of most birth defects are also unknown. About 35% of children who claim to remember previous lives have birthmarks and or birth defects that they, or adult informants, attribute to their wounds on a person whose life the child remembers. The cases of 210 such children have been investigated, and their birthmarks were usually areas of hairless, puckered skin. Some were areas of little or no pigmentation, hypopigmented macules. Others were areas of increased pigmentation, hyperpigmented nevi. Now, the birth defects were nearly always of rare types. In cases in which a deceased person was identified, the details of whose life unmistakably matched the child's statements. A close correspondence was nearly always found between the birthmarks and or birth defects on the child and the wounds on the deceased person. Now, in 43 of 49 cases in which a medical document, usually a post-mortem report, was obtained, it confirmed the correspondence of the wounds, Scott. What the heck, dude?
Yeah, that is definitely some wild stuff. And
11
that would
minutes out from
suggest-
the end of the show, and we have uncovered some tremendous woo.
Oh, it's crazy stuff. My mom actually talks about this a lot. The birthmark thing and the past lives
You think there's
stuff.
something to it, dude? You think there's something to it? I do.
Yeah, I definitely believe there's something to it.
It resonated with me when I read it today. It felt right.
It's almost like what you would consider like a file remnant. Say if you want to think about it from like a simulation perspective, there's like traces left behind of the previous code, if you will, right? So the previous program may have been deleted, but it's I'll use a computer sort of analogy for it. When you delete a program off your computer, it leaves traces behind, right, in the registry and stuff. That program is not completely deleted. There are still remnants of that program there. I would say it's the same thing with like genetic code, right?
Genetic manipulation.
Yes, genetically modified. Yeah, where maybe you're running through your second round. You're on level 2 or level 3. You're on your next life.
Imagine having a stone, dude. Imagine having a stone that throws you back to like your ancestral life, and you're thrust back to a time where your crafts come down in a place called Moo. We now call it Australia. It crashes in just off the waters in the beach area. There's carnage, stuff like that. You're actually thrust back and feeling all of the same things, living, walking in that person's shoes. And all because you come into contact with a stone that's talking to you and passing. This is the thing, Scott, right?
Why haven't
Eh?
Oh, go ahead.
No, on you go.
No, I was just gonna say, why hasn't somebody made a movie of this? Can you imagine how awesome a sci-fi movie based
I'm
on
thinking
this?
as well, though, imagine like stones in the Amazon. Stones anywhere. I mean, to us, we think we're smart. We're looking for like a laptop or something that we recognize as technology.
That's
Technology's all around us. We don't know how to read it, or we're not ready to read it,
That's why I'm of the belief that AI has always existed on this planet. We are just now rediscovering it or unlocking it. Also, whenever you hear about people who have went to these megalithic sites, right, and touched them, and they're like, oh, I felt like I received a download of information when I touched the stone. There's definitely something to this. I think a lot of this code and information was embedded in the structures, right? Like the pyramid. The code is there. It's in the blocks. It's in the actual structure of the pyramid. like you said, we're sitting here thinking we need to. We're trying to look for a laptop or a device of some kind or a CD or
Listening for
something
a
that
signal coming from space with
Yeah.
big cans looking to the sky. It's under our feet.
when the code is encoded inside us and inside of these structures, it's encoded into the stone, into the earth itself. So, and I think that was done for a reason. They knew that we needed to reach a level, we needed to reach a point to where we were able to crack the code, right? Which would suggest that we reached some kind of level of intelligence to do it, right? We needed to evolve to some point, some technological point to where they're like, oh, okay, they're ready because they figured it out, and we're not there yet, but we're getting closer.
Oh, I think we're getting real close, Scotty boy. I think we're closer than we've ever been, man.
Oh, we are, but here's the thing. Has this happened? Like, are we meant to reach that level? It seems like from what I have gathered, it seems like every time we reach a point to where we're about to hit that threshold, there's a reset. And what
Those pesky things that we beat back then, there's still enough of them hanging about, dude.
I think so. I think they don't. I think they're the ones that trigger this reset right when we're about to reach this pinnacle of figuring it out. And I guess you could call it the never-ending battle between good and evil, dark and
Wow. Deep woo, Lopez. Man, oh man, have we hit the woo tonight, eh? I told you, did.
We had to go full woo after my shenanigans.
I let you cleanse yourself. You needed to cleanse yourself, or you wouldn't have been able to go into the woo. You wouldn't have been able to concentrate on that. That would have been that little voice at the back of your mind would have been thinking, nah. So I had to let you purge yourself of the anger, and then take you to a time in a land 800,000 years ago and make a pretty damn good case for the number 37 shenanigans, aliens, and big giant stones, Sky. Big giant stones full of knowledge, my friend. Yeah, indeedy.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty much on track with most of this.
Holy moly! Luna has told me my pronunciation is spot on. I'm moving to Australia. That's it, Scott. I've cracked it. You see?
You know what? I think you were an Australian in your past life.
Crocodile Inverness, dude. Crocodile Inverness. Wait, you see, I'm going to go to bed tonight. And I'm going to get reminded of like a crazy spaceship that I was on long time ago. I can still remember. I've lost that plot, yes. I almost broke into American Pie from the Palladies. Palladian Pie. Bye, Palladian Pie. No, not work. Surely it works. Come on, dude.
Drove my spaceship to the mother, but the mothership was
to the moon. It came a crazy place called Moo. They should have known it was going wrong when they hit Moo, man. No, but listen, folks, thank you all for tuning in today. Big shout out to Donnie, Luna, Mammoth, Dan, Ken, all of our Australian audience. We are the #1 para-abnormal show in Australia and probably around the world since we don't have much competition, Scott. But what are you off to do now? I take it you're away to entertain oneself on the gaming arena, are we, Mr. Lopez?
Yes, Season 4 of Call of Duty is about to be launching here in at the beginning of June.
Not that you're counting down or anything. Big clock on the wall.
Well, new weapons, new characters, all that good stuff. And the only thing that kind of bums me about when they do a new season is that it takes your rank and it resets you down to 55. So
Oh,
I'm
it's
gonna-
like that's like that escape from Tarkov, man. I got stripped of everything.
Yeah.
I built everything up and they took it all off me. But before we go today, um, excuse me, since we've been kind of talking about cultural affairs of Down Under, then I think we'll finish this show by thanking our ancestors on whatever land that we are on today. And I wish Luna was here, or one of the girls, because matriarchal system, Toxic Kev in the drawer. Shh, dude, I don't know how well I'd get on in Australia, right? I thought it was the other way, man. Telling you.
Hey, sometimes you just have to listen to that feminine side.
You do, dude.
You sometimes got to, and sometimes they know better because let's
Well,
just say,
let's face it, every time they know better, or that's what we tell them. Shh,
shh, yeah, it's our little secret.
it's our ASMR. Anyway, before me and Scott get really creepy, let us hand over the reins of Woo to the honorary horseman of the apocalypse. He is Brent Thomas. He's got you ready to go through the paranormal portal. Don't go anywhere, folks. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Didn't touch that dial. And I'll be back next week with the Kev Baker Show. We are out of here. There we go. And may I thank all of you for tuning in today. Absolutely spot on. Queen Goddess, Just Be Happy, BW, Just Be Happy, DJ Bison, all of you. I don't think I missed anyone out there. Thank you so much for supporting us. Big shout out to Leslie as well. Did you have fun, Scott?
Oh, definitely. That was some, like I said, top tier woo from Down Under. The Aussies definitely know how to bring the woo, man. Like,
It's an untapped,
It is.
golden orange, rich landscape of woo.
that's what I'm saying. It doesn't get the credit it deserves, and you know what? I'll be happy if we're the ones to be. We have exclusive access to the Australian woo. I hope it stays that way.
Well, you see, the Mexican and the Scots, we've proved that there's a bit of kinship there. There's definitely a lot of kinship between the Scots and the Aussies, so you're an honorary Scotsman. You got the kinship. We are gonna we'll make this place the billabong that we all hang around and share those stories, Scotty boy.
There is a lot of similarities between the middle of the United States, the Midwestern United States and Australia. I'll just say that.
Now, Scott, there you go. There's the dude. He says, I'm Kilroy, 1979 game tag. I'm going to hop on Modern Warfare right after the show. There you go. I'm going to put that in the chat so myself and Scott, the next time I'm on it, I'll certainly add you up. Dude, Scott's the one you want to play with, though, because he's like, he should have like a call sign as a name, because he is pretty good at the old Call of Duty. But let's see what else is happening in here before we go. Oh, Brian, he's been lurking. Hashtag long time lurker. Long time lurker.
Great lurk, gents. Much love, chat PPP.
Much loved super chat. Thank you very, very much, Brian. And are we busy tomorrow night, Scott, or can we dip our toe into the ridiculous world of something stupid like Florida Man, or find something ridiculous to goof out over?
We can dip our toe into whatever you want to dip it into.
Yes,
Kev.
we can do that. Yes, we can. I'm trying to think. Hopefully, SpaceX will be okay when it goes up tomorrow, and we won't have anything bad like that to talk about.
Yeah, I'm gonna be tuning into that. Definitely gonna be getting up a little earlier.
It's
and
historic,
watching.
man. You know, dang.
It is.
It gets people excited. It gets kids excited about space again. Listen, I know people hate on the guy. I'm super excited about it all. I'm like a kid again. You know, it's like I remember watching some of the old missions when I was in school. Scott, they'd wheel out the old telly. You know, you'd maybe get to put your jotters away for an hour or so. You'd sit down. Whoa, look at that thing, man! I just dude.
You You gotta wonder if maybe the reason Elon is the way he is
Do you
because
think maybe maybe he's attached to the old
he's
Alcheringa stone?
he's experiencing that genetic memory of we need to return home, we need to get off this planet.
He's tapped into that bubble of existence where everything is, my friend. Yep, he's definitely elevated his mind into the Akashic record.
Yes.
He's not terraforming anywhere. He's taking us home.
You notice? Exactly. And it always blows me away, like when he's doing his interviews and they ask him questions, his eyes are like darting back and forth, like he's scanning the hard drive.
It doesn't help me when I go to bat for him and people are saying, but Kev, he's like a robotoid. Dang. It's hard to argue, but I just think he's absolutely genius level savant to the point where even Elon Musk doesn't get Elon Musk some days.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. So are we out of here, dude? I think we are. I think we're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, folks. Thank you all so much again for being here. I hope we were worthy of your time tonight. And I know for that first hour there, the audience absolutely loved what you had to say, Scotty boy. You know, I know we don't often move away from the woo now, but I think that needs to be said today. The audience certainly loved it. And then I hope we found that balance. Some news and some woo. See? Can't ask for better than that.
I was debating if I wanted to just come on next week and talk about it on just the KBS show, but I was like, I'll just get it out of my system early.
Purge yourself, man. It's 2020. Yeah. The year of the purge. Telling you, folks, we'll be back tomorrow. Keep it real. Oh, hang on. Oh, what happened there? I know what happened there. I leant on my mute. I've got a mute button. There's that many buttons, Scott.
How dare you?
I apologise, Greta. For once, you're right. How dare I? But we're out of here, folks. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. Okay, hang on 1 minute. Right. Donnie sent me a photo. Give me 1 minute. 1 minute, and I'll find a photo. Okay, now I don't know where he sent it, because it's not on Facebook. No, not sure. I will dig that up for tomorrow, folks. I will get that for us tomorrow. Donnie, thank you, brother. I'll bring it up tomorrow, man.